Hey folks, this is Justin at Metcalf Mills. I just wanted to show you something that I've been working on and finished up and I'm delivering to its home today. This is a master mill, a grain mill made by Meadows Mill Company in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. It's, if I remember right, it's around the 1950s model mill. When I got it, it was mostly in pieces and looked pretty rough, and I've pretty much totally cleaned it up and repainted it as close to original as possible, and got everything working good on it and make sure the stones were dressed like they should be. The way these mills work, the grain goes into the hopper up top here, and it's funneled down to this feed cup. And the way that works is this handle, when you raise this handle, it raises and lowers the feed cup so you can adjust the flow of grain into the shoe as to how much grain is going into the mill. The shoe works as a cleaning mechanism. If you got any big particulate matter like cobs and whatnot, it'll stay on top and come over here and fall out the side. The grain will go down onto a smaller screen, and the purpose of the smaller screen is the finer particles of stuff you don't want it to go into the mill will go through there and exit out over to the side. As the grain falls down through here, this fan will put a current of air across the grain as it falls, and it will blow out anything that the cleaning shoe did not get. So the grain falls down, it goes down into this area, and there's an auger on the main drive shaft that will pull the grain into the millstones. The millstone on this side is fixed. It's surrounded by concrete inside this cast iron housing. The millstone on this side is the one that turns. It's called the runner stone. So when the grain comes in between the two, the dress and the furrows and lands on the millstone work like a pair of scissors. They just kind of shear the grain, and it's the best way of grinding that's available. Just natural stone. Product then comes out the spout here, and whether or not they choose to use it, there's a side sifter here, a bolter that goes on here, and the bolter shakes, the shoe shakes, all by the mechanism over here that's called an eccentric. It's an egg-shaped collar that goes on the shaft, and it has another collar that goes around the machined egg shape so that when the shaft turns, this will move up and down, shaking the shoe. This will move in and out, shaking your side bolter here. This mill is going to Woodson's mill in Lowesville, Virginia. When I redo one of these mills, I try to keep it as original as possible. So like the pinstripes and the trim, that was all done by hand back in the olden days. And that's the way I do it. And I've looked at a lot of this old equipment, and some of the lines are just almost perfect, and then sometimes you get some squiggles. I guess it just depends on maybe the mood or the experience level of the person that was doing it that particular day. I try to do that the same way. I notice the same things. If I'm in a bit of a hurry or have something else on my mind, it'll come out in the detail work. So it's just a little thing that I try to do to keep it as original as possible. Over here, this is your adjustment screw. This adjusts how close together the stones are. It has a lock lever that you unlock, and then that allows you to turn this hand wheel, and that shows you, or that allows you to adjust how close the stones are. If they're real close together, you're grinding real fine flour. If they're farther apart, you can grind more coarse, like for cornmeal, grits, and even cracked corn for chicken feed. So over here, this fan runs off of the main shaft. This is a leather belt that drives the fan, This joint right here allows you, when you take the mill apart to dress the stones, you have to remove this whole pulley, this frame, everything. This allows you, when you're adjusting that shaft in and out for the millstones, how close together they are for the grind, this flexible fabric in these two brackets allows that shaft to move without moving the main pulley over here. So that's just like a flexible coupling kinda. This is the main drive pulley for this mill. This is the oldest type of pulley other than a wooden pulley. This was the next thing up from a wooden pulley. Just a cast iron pulley, very common on old equipment. There will be a belt close to the width of this pulley, most likely, that drives this machine. It may be ran by water power. It may be ran by electrical. I don't know yet. I'm looking forward to the owner's thoughts of how they're going to power this mill. So these pulleys that are ran by a flat belt, to keep the belt on the pulleys are crowned. So in the center, they're just a little bit wider, and it makes the belt run true and track and stay on the pulley. They're not perfectly flat. They're kind of rounded right in the center and crowned, so that holds the belt on the pulley. These mills, you can grind any free-flowing grain pretty much. I mean, you can grind the coarsest corn to the, the finest small grains. They can be used for a lot of different applications where you're needing to grind grain. So these mills are pretty much, if you keep the bearings lubed and greased, I mean, they'll run for years and years and years. They're, made to last. On the stone dressing, it usually just depends on what they're grinding and how much they're grinding. Sometimes it can be years before they need dressing if the mill is not being used a lot. Sometimes it can be once a month, so it just depends really on what they're grinding and how much of it they're grinding. I love what I do, my work. I enjoy every minute of it. This is a great day when a mill goes to its new home or back to its home, ready to work and ready to be put to work. It's always a great day when that happens. I've got a lot of projects coming up, different than this, other types of mills and other types of milling equipment that I'm working on. I look forward to sharing all that with you, hopefully in more detail and more of the process. So we're ready to hit the road and get this thing back to the big Woodson's mill.